Hi there and welcome to episode 3 of the BI8 show, bringing you the latest interviews from the Elite Series. Well, the games are coming thick and fast. We've only got a couple of interviews for you this week, but two very good ones, though I say so myself. First up is Manchester Storm's Joe Hazeldine. He talks to us about his 3-year deal with the club, the wrench to leave Nottingham Panthers, and how much he's enjoying the Elite Series. Plus, we also hear from the Coventry Blaze coach, Danny Stewart, as he talks about his last 5 years in charge of the Blaze and who's pleasantly surprised him in the Elite Series so far. Coming up first, here's Joe Hazeldine. Joe, thank you for joining us on the BI8 show. The Elite Series is gathering a bit of pace. How's it been for you in the last week and a half or so, or a couple of weeks really, since you joined up with the Manchester team?
It's been really good, relaxed, and then we've just been building into it slowly, but I'm really enjoying it. Thanks for having me.
Good stuff. And of course, you're back home in Nottingham, your hometown, of course, a place where that's really formed you as a player. What's it been like being back in the Motorpoint Arena and playing there, albeit with no fans there, certainly?
It's definitely different, but it's nice to be back where it all started and be close to home. Not that we can go home, but it's been nice. I've been showing a few guys around the city on walks and everything, but it's been really good.
It must be difficult. You mentioned the fact that you're home, but you can't go home. I assume your family are sort of in the city somewhere. You can't really pop out and see them, can you?
No, I'm going to need my washing doing soon, so hopefully we're allowed out. But yeah, it's definitely hard, but it's obviously for the best, keeping everyone safe and everything like that.
Good stuff. Now, talk to me about your career so far. Obviously, the Panthers is where you kind of started. You went through the junior system, then on to Panthers, obviously. You made quite a number of appearances for the Panthers. What were your kind of highlights for your time playing at that club?
It's obviously one of the biggest clubs in the whole of Great Britain. So being a part of that and just seeing the professionalism and everything like that it's definitely set me up to be a professional along the way. But coming up through the juniors and making that step was a difficult one. But I think I kind of took it well, and then I was down about a few things, and then as I've gradually got older, it's just been keeping the steady playing field and not getting too high and not getting too low. That's what I've kind of picked up, being around those guys.
Who were the kind of influences on you at the Panthers? I mean, there was a lot of star-studded names. Corey Nielsen was the coach, of course, back in your sort of early days. I think David Clark was still around back then. But who were the guys that really, took you under their wing and sort of talked you through games and situations?
The one that stands out massively is Stevie Lee. I was training with the Panthers from when I was about 14, 15, and he was always taking time at the end of practice to really help me and develop me. And then Corey put me in touch with him, and we started doing stuff away from the rink just to help me make that next jump. And then the year after, Clarkey was there, and people like that have been there and done it all definitely took the time away from the rink to make sure I was okay and work at being a professional. Then my second year, we were struggling. We was going through a bit of a patch, and we brought in Danny Stewart. Obviously, everyone knows about his career, but just being in the British and people helping me, and then seeing the real step. Played in the best league in the world, but he was just helping me, just with everything, just on ice stuff that I could probably work on, and then off the ice, he was the greatest guy ever. Just really took me under his wing, and that's what you want as a 17-year-old kid, just looking up to people like that.
And of course, these are guys that make such an impression on your career, as you've just discussed as well. How much can guys like that, maybe not him necessarily, help you when things are down and things aren't going so well, that maybe a text message or a Zoom call like this, for example, can maybe help you look at things a little bit differently?
Yeah, definitely. And people like that they're the ones that you want around in your career, the people that are going to help have a positive influence on you. But I was just a sponge taking everything in, and just hopefully one day, probably not, I haven't got the veteran status yet, but I'd like to be just half the people that they have to help me. Definitely.
Now, the last couple of years at Panthers have been a bit of change with coaching and things like that. Rich Chermanaz, Rick Strachan, more recently Tim Wallace. But you've been sort of dabbling with NIHL clubs as well, playing with Peterborough, Swindon, Telford. How much did they help you come along as a player, as someone, you know, looking to make that break in the Elite League?
Oh, massively. Just giving me minutes, and so I could play regularly and just have a bit of more of a role down in that lower league. But the standard's still really good. And I mean, the last year in Peterborough when I was with Slava just gave me kind of a bit of a leash and said, here you are, don't worry about making mistakes and just really work on your game and play, work into your strengths kind of thing. But definitely with the minutes there and then training through the week with the Panthers, it's really helped me a lot going forward.
And of course, more recently, you've kind of come away from the Panthers. COVID, of course, has played a big part in everybody's life and career over the last 12 months, of course. But I'm just made a few notes on the way here. You had a spell in Germany, Weisswasser, playing in the German, I put third tier. I think they're the fourth tier team. What was that like?
Definitely a life experience. I just wanted to get out and just play hockey. Corey Nielsen, obviously, he just put me in touch with the coach there, and that's where he was based with the DEL2 side. So I just went out there. I wanted to play hockey. The standard was still okay. It wasn't. I wasn't too bothered about the standard. I was just wanted to be playing, and then luckily I got to play with Corey's team for the pre-season. And it's just, again, being around professional guys and seeing a different part of the world and playing again at a high standard. It was fantastic.
And of course, you had Mac Howlett with you, who's currently with the Coventry Blaze. I know Mac, obviously, from his time in Glasgow. That must have been nice having someone of a similar culture to be able to share that experience with.
Yeah, definitely. Well, me and Mac lived together. It was definitely easier not having to translate things to ask for stuff. But yeah, me and Mac had a great time. And then the league got shut down and we both came away. And luckily, we this Elite Series has started for us both.
But before the series, you had the North Cup. You took part in that with the Nottingham Lions, again, a bit close to home. How much did that help sort of get you in the mood for this competition?
It was amazing. I can't thank the Lions enough. Obviously, I left just before I could play. I played one game for them before I left for the Panthers, but I was playing with my brother, and that's an experience I'll never forget. It was that's probably one of the coolest things I've ever done in hockey, being my D partner, and obviously he's going to be. Hopefully he becomes a bit of a star. He needs to get his name out there a little bit, but he's really good. But just having that situation where I can play back with the people I grew up playing with as well. But yeah, I can't thank Matt Bradbury and Paul Gloss enough for letting me play.
Good. And of course, now you're in the Elite Series. Manchester Storm picked you up. They gave you a 3-year deal as well. How much of a wrench was it to finally walk away from Panthers into a new stage in your career?
It was tough. I had to weigh up a lot of options, but at the age that I am now, I'm just looking for ice time and playing a lot of minutes. And Ryan Finnerty offered me that, and I was kind of sold. I was looking forward to coming to Manchester, and then the league got obviously shut down. But I'm glad this things came up, and hopefully I can have a good few years there. I'm really enjoying it at the minute. Obviously playing a lot of minutes. Yeah, it's been great.
And of course, you're playing alongside some good players as well. Andreas Klavestad, I think, has missed the last couple of games for an injury. Zach Sullivan, another player I know well, certainly from his time in Glasgow, and has worked with Ryan Finnerty for a number of years. How much do you take in off these guys in terms of advice that they give you, especially in a competition like this?
It's really good. I take in a lot of things, especially off Dallas. He's been my D partner over the last couple of games. Just learning little things and just the support on the bench and everything like that. When we've only got 5D, it's been fantastic. It's obviously been tough, and we've all had to pull up together with Clav being out. But it's been great, just learning, picking up little pieces. I feel like I have more of a role here than I have the last couple of years. I'm definitely excited about going forward with Manchester.
And picked up some good results as well, albeit you seem to be doing it the hard way, either getting winners in the last minute or taking games into overtime as well. But what does that do for the overall character of the team as you move forward?
Yeah, obviously we'd like to close games out a little bit earlier than what we have been doing. But again, we're finding a way to win, and that's what's the main objective as well. But yeah, we want to clear it up a little bit before we start getting to the last minutes. But obviously, yeah, it's great for character wins when 2 points is 2 points, right? But we don't want to keep teams sniffing around.
Now, take us into the hotel. Take us into the team a wee bit. What's kind of life in the hotel like? What's it like? What's your typical day, being around the guys and prepping for games?
A lot of PlayStation, but no, it's pretty good. Obviously, spending time. We've got a meeting room we can all hang out in and play like table tennis and Xbox, and we've been watching the golf recently. Obviously, that's finished now, but just going to the shop if we need stuff, just for a little break away from our rooms. But yeah, other than that, it's just been a lot of Xbox and a lot of time on our own.
And that's the key thing, isn't it? Try not to get bored in something like that, because obviously you're there between games. When you're at the arena, you're doing your bit, you're practicing, you're taking in the instruction, you're looking at video and things like that as well. So how is it difficult to maybe keep your mind sharp at times when you're basically hanging around the hotel all the time?
Yeah, probably. Sometimes it's harder to get yourself into it, but it's also a lot harder to switch yourself off when you're around the game as much, and especially with games coming thick and fast. But yeah, it's hard to stay focused sometimes, but hard to switch off. So yeah, it's difficult. It's a lot different to what players are normally used to. But it's great that we're all together and sharing a lot of experiences that we'll probably look back on in a few years, and thank God that we have come out of it.
And of course, I'm mindful of the fact that a lot of you have come in with various sort of levels of fitness. Some guys hadn't played for over a year. I'm thinking of the likes of Matt Haywood and Craig Peacock. Previously with Glasgow, you were playing in Germany in the North Cup recently as well. What is the general fitness like among the team? You've had a good number of games now between you, plenty of practice sessions. Is it fair to say you're getting to match sharpness, if not there already?
Yeah, I think over the last couple of games we've been at match fitness, has been back up. But yeah, Woody and Peaks were struggling the first training session. They said they'd only played on the outdoor rink when everything was frozen up there. But yeah, we're all back to match fitness, I think.
Good. Now I've got one question that's come from Twitter. You've probably seen it. Scott McKenzie, I think he's an old teammate of yours at Telford, asking about a moustache. How long did it take you to grow that moustache? I think it was the picture that I tweeted out.
I can't remember when it was started. Probably about 6 or 7 weeks ago, maybe.
Are you still trying it? Have you given up on it just now?
I'll keep it around for a little bit longer. It seems to be the in thing at the minute, so yeah, I'm going to keep it on.
Good man, Joe. Listen, thank you so much for joining us on the BI8 show. Great to have you on board. It's always nice to hear what you guys are up to between games and everything. So best of luck for the rest of the series, and thanks for your time.
Cheers. Thank you for having me.
That was Joe Hazeldine of Manchester Storm. Our next guest just coming up is the Coventry Blaze head coach, Danny Stewart, and it's 5 years almost since he took over the job from Chuck Webber, and it's been quite a 5 years. He led the club to third place in 2019-20, and who knows what might have been had the season not been curtailed because of the coronavirus pandemic. Well, they're holding their own in this Elite Series right now, doing quite well. He's brought in a raft of exciting players as well. So I get a chat with Danny Stewart, and he tells us the insight from what it's been like for Coventry Blaze. Here's Danny. Danny, welcome to the BI8 show, joining us from your hotel room in Nottingham, head coach of the Coventry Blaze, of course. Halfway through the tournament, Danny, what are your thoughts on how your team have performed so far?
Yeah, I think as expected, I guess ups and downs. I think with three-day preparations, not ideal, but I think we're slowly getting better in areas that we've obviously pinpointed early on that need to be better. But I think no matter how good your prep is or how good your I guess your progress is, there's always going to be kinks at this stage. So, might even take till playoffs to really get everyone completely on the same page, if that. So, it's a bit of a unique situation, a unique event, but we're all happy to be back playing.
And that's it, because the games are all coming thick and fast now. So prep for each game, what you do on the ice, the video stuff, and all that as well. I mean, how much are you finding at the time as we go?
I mean, being in the hotel, we got, and you're not kind of balancing it with other things. You've got plenty of time for the prep and the video and all that stuff. I think that the biggest obstacle for us is obviously fresh legs. You got a lot of guys that haven't played a lot of hockey, some that have played a little bit, and just a very few that have been fortunate to play most of the season. And we're already seeing, a lot of niggles and a lot of tired legs and guys getting fatigued. So it's trying to find the time, because you got so much still to work on, but also trying to find the time to get these guys rest. And it's a big challenge. And we look ahead at the schedule, and it gets heavier and heavier in that last week, and into playoffs is crazy. So it's just trying to find that balance and get these guys rested when they can.
Now you've had some good results and not so good results as you go, but you're doing okay at the moment. Can you pinpoint just exactly where you think your successes have been?
Well, I think against Nottingham, we've played well. We've defended well. Last game they did have a high shot count, but we felt like a lot of their shots, they came in, I think, with a game plan to kind of throw everything on net, and a lot of their shots were coming from the outside, and we did a good job getting second pucks out of the way and letting Noe see the puck. So I thought we defended well in both games against Nottingham. Manchester, I thought we played well in both games as well. Obviously, could have went either way, both overtime games. And I guess the only two games that I could say weren't great were, to be fair, the only game we were really bad for 3 periods was the first Sheffield encounter. And then, last night, I thought for the first and third period, we played really good hockey. And unfortunately, a bad second period was our doing. So it cost us a hockey game. So, obviously against them, we still got some work to do.
Now, I want to take you all the way back to kind of the start of all this when the Elite Series was announced and you were going to get involved in a draft, which is something quite unique to British ice hockey, certainly. Take us into the insight of your draft and how you prepped and who you wanted. How did you go around to that?
Well, I think the first thing we looked at was the first round. The possibilities who were potential first picks, and obviously, I think initially there was still some uncertainty with Bounds, and obviously, I think Lake and Hammond were the two guys that I guess were maybe at the top of the list, and when Nottingham had traded up. Obviously changed our thinking a little bit. But, I think we had it in our head that whoever was available, with us having the third pick, whoever was available between Hammond and Lake, then we would obviously take them to give us that, I guess, class as a Britness event and extra, class forward. So that was our first thought. And then after that, we looked at our back end and we wanted to make sure that we were solid back there. And, there's a few names we floated around, and we decided to pick Swinney, and a lot of experience, and big body that can skate and big ice here in Nottingham. And then after that, we just kind of we looked at youth, and we wanted to kind of go young, and guys that maybe were going to come in and be hungry to kind of prove themselves and maybe give us a shop window to look at some Brits, and possibly for next season. If not, then maybe down the road in the future, we feel we have a really good British core, and but there will come a day in the distant future where one or two, maybe more, move on, and the more knowledge we have about guys, the better.
And of course, the import rule was changed. Obviously, 8 imports came in. How did you shop for those guys? I think that the Norwegian league, I think, has been a big help to all the coaches because of their early shutdown as well. So how did you identify the guys to bring in and get them integrated into the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think the first, I guess, thing we looked at was, trying our best to find guys that had played a little bit this year, or were on the back of the playing, their seasons finishing, and it became a little bit tricky. And then, we looked at, again, youth, a couple college guys that we had signed, guys that were hungry that maybe just for whatever reason didn't find a club, and but we heard great things about, and again, giving us a shop window to potentially look at these guys for next season. And obviously returning guys, we looked at all options in terms of guys we had last season and who was available. And I think once, after Boundsy had been picked, and we obviously committed to, or we knew Boundsy, we weren't going to get a guy like Boundsy as a British goalie. We had committed to going an import goalie as well. So, obviously Owen, with his knowledge of the league and the couple seasons he spent here, was a bit of a no-brainer. And it was a tough balance, to be honest. And then absolutely, when the Norwegian league, and as leagues started finishing, or teams started getting eliminated from playoffs in Denmark and Poland and leagues like that, it obviously just opened it up a little bit more. But we had a very short window to get a team in place, so you didn't have the luxury of time. These guys watched a little bit of video, talked to a few people, and it was really just making a decision.
I think I've asked you before about how much you wanted to bring back the team of 2019-20 that got you into that third place, that did so well for you prior to the coronavirus lockdown. I think you said you had something like 14 signed up for what would have been a 2020-21 season. How difficult was it to try and get some of the guys back that you would have liked to have got back?
Yeah, it was difficult. It was such a special season, with unfinished business, and we got those guys signed back and on board, and they were happy. I mean, I think for the first time in a long time in Coventry, we had guys that were like beating me to it, coming to me saying, what's your plans for next year? I'd love to come back. And that's a good sign that you did things right, not just from our end as coaches, but as an organization as a whole. And then not to have the season go, it was very frustrating. And then obviously guys, we tried to keep guys updated as when there was potential for something, but guys had to make the decision if they wanted to play. And we were honest with all our guys, and we basically, my suggestion to them was like, just play, make sure you play. So if you get an opportunity, go. And a lot of them did. And then when the series came up, we've got several guys from that team that had been signed for this season that were playing elsewhere, and I had good conversations with them. And I think just, with them, we decided what was best for them. A lot of them figured where they were was probably best in terms of, the security of the season ongoing, and had the ability to play into mid-May and possibly June if they had playoff runs. And, last thing I wanted to do was potentially bring a guy over here and have him leave his club. And then we, for whatever, worst case, we had a COVID outbreak or something like that, and we had to shut down. And then these guys were out without hockey. So, but obviously we were able to get Camper back, and Yanni as well, and along with our Brits, and it was good to get that a little bit of familiarity back as well.
So, of your current team, have you been pleasantly surprised by any of them?
Yeah, I think there's still a lot to learn about these guys. It's been a short period of time, but Keck's obviously come in and impressed so far. He's scoring a lot of goals for us, and we knew that we had a feeling he would provide us with that. He's coming from Nebraska Omaha, which is inarguably the toughest conference in college hockey, Division I, and they play against the likes of Minnesota Duluth and North Dakota and St. Cloud State, and I mean these are top programs where they're probably top 4 to 6 forwards are going to the NHL or American League at the very least. So we knew he'd be a quality player. We knew he had a lot of speed. Yeah, the rest of the guys have been good. Some of the young Brits have come in and impressed and done a good job for us. I really liked our Brits from last season. I think Clements has really done a good job with the added ice time and situational minutes that he's getting. And Forbesy, the last couple games we've thrown back on D, and I think he's done a really good job. Always been great for us. Can't really fault him for the Sheffield games, and that was more of a team effort in front of him. And yeah, no, plenty of positives so far.
Now, I want to ask about you as a coach. It's now 5 years, well, more or less 5 years since you took over at Coventry Blaze. How much do you feel you've come on as a coach when you think back to not only the last 5 years, but your previous stint when you were at Newcastle and what was their last season, as it turned out?
Yeah, it's been a long decade of coaching, and couple turbulent years there in Newcastle and first year in Fife, but a lot of great work in Fife, and it was a great organization. And but when I came here, I think I've come on a long way. I think probably the biggest obstacle for me early on in Coventry was battling the emotions, and being a player coach in Newcastle and Fife, I still had that ability to get on the ice and go, finish a check, or, obviously I didn't fight as much in later on in my career as I did earlier on, but you still had that ability to exert your emotions. But on the bench, and not saying that I'm quiet on the bench, but I think it's battling those emotions and keeping them in check when you need to, and focusing, and everything's about the players as a coach, and nothing's really should be about yourself. And that's one thing we believe in Coventry anyway, and just kind of working in the dark. But I think recruiting, I've learned a lot over the last couple of years. I think in day to day how to manage players and the right way, especially in this era. It's different. I don't think these are the type of guys that you can just scream and yell at all the time. And I think every coach will agree that, each guy's different in their own way, and it's trying to learn everything you can about each individual so you can manage the best of your ability. And we could go on and on, but I definitely think over the last few years, I'd like to think anyway, that I've matured quite a bit.
And of course, you've got Dale Keane alongside you, who I know plays such a big role for you. How important is it to have him there, in that journey? You've talked about how much you've come along. How big a part does he play in that?
Keno's been great for this organization. He's been great for me as well. He's Keno does a lot of good things for this organization on and off the ice, and like I said, he makes me better at my job, and he helps in areas where maybe that aren't the greatest strengths of mine, and he makes me better in those areas. And I think it's a great thing. And I know he's loved it, and he's loved the challenge. He came from basically coaching juniors and young kids to straight into this role. But he's really handled it well, and I think it's been great for his development as well to learn at this level. And I think it's great for to have a British coach involved as well.
Is he someone you could see as a head coach in his own right one day, maybe?
Yeah, quite possibly, quite possibly. I mean, I think he's getting better every day at what he does, and learning more and more. And obviously he's gotten involved in the GB program with the under-20s there, and he'll learn more there, and different type of formats. So Keno's a smart kid, and he works at what he wants to do. So yeah, no, there's no reason why he couldn't be in the future.
And I've got to ask finally, how much are you missing the fans? You've played these games now. I dare say you're probably used to it, but without the noise, it does make it a little bit different, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It's a bit awkward, a bit odd, and I mean you hear everything too. So you gotta, you get mad at a call and you scream out. The whole rink hears you now, or probably hear you on the webcast too. But yeah, it's different. It's strange when a goal goes. Sometimes the goal goes in. It's a delayed 2-second reaction before you know it's in, and usually the roar of the crowd is how you find out. Or but yeah, I think the players miss it the most. I mean, there's nothing better than a big hit or a goal or something like that. Something big happens in a game, and hearing that noise, and it just kind of gives you that buzz. So you got to find other ways to kind of create that buzz. I think the guys got to be more vocal on the bench and things like that. But yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment.
Danny, great to have you on board on the BIH show. Best of luck for the rest of the tournament. Hopefully we'll catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks, guys.
And that was Danny Stewart, the Coventry Blaze head coach, joining us on the BIH show. Big thanks to Danny, and also big thanks to Joe Hazeldine for joining us on the show this week, bringing us the insights from their respective clubs. Latest news and information on the Elite Series is on britishicehockey.co.uk. We're also on Facebook, Twitter at Brit Ice Hockey, and also on Instagram. So get involved with the game day polls, anything else we've got going on as well. We always like to hear from you. We'll be back next week with another edition of the BIH show. I'm Craig Anderson. Thank you very much for watching, and enjoy your hockey and stay safe. Bye for now.